A huge day of celebration. We've seen these touching images of the families reuniting, of Prime Minister Netanyahu being there. But I want to speak specifically about Noah, the sole woman who was freed today. Her mother has brain cancer, has been wishing to see her daughter before she dies. Do we now know if the two have seen each other?
So thank you for having me on this blessed day, blessed Shabbat, Adrian. So Noah Argamani, as well as the other three hostages who were successfully rescued, at first they were moved to one hospital in central Israel, but Noah, for medical examination, later on was transferred to the hospital, a different one in Tel Aviv, where her mother is currently undergoing treatment. She's terminally ill. As far as I understand, she has a stage 4 brain cancer, and her situation really deteriorated over the past 8 months. You know, Noah has been held captive for nearly 250 days now. And according to reports, we know that Noah was the one who used to take care of her mother. And in the recent days, the situation really deteriorated. So as far as I know, she went to see her mother after getting examined by herself and reuniting with her father at a different hospital. She really became quite a symbol of the plight of all his Israeli hostages because of these images that became very viral. The moments of her capturing from the Nova Music Festival, it was documented, it became viral. She was abducted alongside her boyfriend, by the way, from the music festival, Avinatan, and he is still being held captive by the terror monsters in Gaza.
In terms of this special operation, and our condolences to one of the IDF, I believe it was a sergeant, but the troop that was killed in this special force operation, is it true that these hostages were separated, that they were inside of Palestinian homes in 2 separate locations?
Indeed. So the IDF had precise intelligence about the whereabouts of these hostages. They were held in civilian structures in 2 different civilian apartments. So it appears in the New Sirat area, that's a neighborhood in central Gaza, in the middle of a bustling market scene. This is exactly what Hamas does. They want to risk civilians. They want to cause much suffering and much risk to civilian lives, Palestinian civilian lives. They intentionally do so because they hide behind them, which is exactly the opposite of what our forces are. Obviously successful. And they were holding Noah in a separate apartment, and a few meters away, the 3 other hostages were being held. And then at around 11 a.m. local time, our forces received the green light for the operation, and they infiltrated these 2 apartments and exchanged fire with the terrorists who were constantly guarding them. And they managed to rescue them, took them to the helicopters, and this is how they got saved.
There are a lot of people who have criticized the IDF's tactics and strategy, and yet, you know, how does the IDF know the difference between a civilian and a Hamas soldier with enemy lines that reach into the living rooms of Gazan apartments?
So, you know, the goal was to rescue the hostages. And as usual, the IDF, they tried to use precise munitions and carry out very surgical operations to carry out the mission that they are there for. Of course, we do everything possible on our end, not only in this specific mission, but in every other operation that we carry out across the Gaza Strip to minimize the risk to uninvolved civilians, of course, as much as we can. But as you see, Hamas are trying to do exactly the other thing. They want to see enhanced suffering on the Palestinian side because they believe that it will increase international pressure on Israel in a way that will make us stop the war and let them stay in power, live another day to carry out another October 7th massacre and other attacks.
Yeah, well, as Prime Minister has said time and time again, Prime Minister Netanyahu, that will not happen. That will not be allowed to happen. Tal Heinrich, thank you again for making the time. I know it is Shabbat, and we honor that, and we are so excited about these 4 hostages now freed. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian.